This is the first in a series of heavy bag instructional videos. They'll have an H designation when you look at them in a lineup. Let's begin by considering the heavy bag. When I first started hitting heavy bags, when I first entered the gym, I never had much of a talk with anybody about what makes heavy bags different, what's the advantage of some over the others. And heavy bags are like people, we're all about diversity here. Different sizes, different shapes, different fills. Some are filled with fluff, some are filled with sand, and it all matters as far as your heavy bag experience is concerned, in my opinion. So the shape of this is a cylinder, as I said. You have some that are teardrop shaped, you have double end bags, you have lots of different bags, but this is a heavy bag. And the nice thing about a heavy bag is that you can throw hard, and it'll have a bit of a pendulous swing. And this is a banana bag. It's filled with something, I don't know, old clothes or something like that. And you can see that they have settled for the most part. It's a banana bag, which means that it's a kickboxing bag. Boxing bags, for the most part, don't come down quite as far. They don't need to. You're not kicking them. But the fill matters for me. I'm fairly particular. I try to take care of my hands, and I don't like to hit heavy bags. I just don't enjoy it. So I like something that's a little soft and something that moves as well. But being that this is a cylinder, as opposed to focus mitts, you don't have a target, an upward target for your uppercut. Okay, you're good with your jabs. You're good with your hooks. You're good with shots to the body, uppercuts to the body. But if you want to hit a shot to the chin, imaginary chin of your opponent, this is not a good target for it, just the geometry of it. You can see as I'm punching upward, I'm not going to land on anything. So when I throw uppercuts, I tend to skim the bag. So I'll just go on that trajectory, throwing upward, and my forearm, I'll just kind of brace it on the bag and keep it in the flow so I can put my combinations together, whatever those combinations are. Gloves. What type of gloves does one want to use to hit a heavy bag? It's going to be preference. I personally like to have some padding on my knuckles. So these are 16-ounce gloves, and I would generally wear a pair of 16-ounce gloves. They do make bag gloves. They're nothing more than pretty much a overlay of leather or synthetic leather. But I do like to have some padding. And an important note that I want to make is, do have two pairs of gloves. It's common courtesy. So if you're in the gym and you're training and you're sparring, it's common courtesy to have a pair of sparring gloves and a pair of bag gloves, because you will, through all the in and out continuous pounding on this bag, you're going to displace the stuffing inside of these bags, and it's just going to be that much harder on your sparring partner. And theoretically, you want your sparring partners to want to get into the ring with you, want to work with you, so you can get the type of work that you need to develop your skills. So 2 pairs of gloves, 1 pair for hitting the bag, it's your preference, the other pair for Elite 16s for your sparring. Hand protection, I do recommend wrapping your hands for this, because like I said, you can see up here, this is all sunken in, the weight has settled and or not enough fill was put in it initially. So if you do hit up here, if you like throwing overhands, you can potentially really tweak your wrist because of the contour of the shape inside of the bag. So I do recommend wrapping your wrists. Because this bag is a cylinder, a vertical cylinder essentially, punches that go directly in like so are going to meet even resistance at my wrist, so that my wrist will be supported when I hit the bag. But as soon as I start hitting at angles, even if it's not up high, as soon as I start hitting at angles, depending on the density of the bag, I could potentially have some issues with my wrist. Okay, so if it's nice and soft, when you hit, you can see that the bag conforms a bit. And so I get good support with my wrist. But if it's filled with sand, and I've hit bags that are filled with sand before, it's really unpleasant. But if it's filled with sand and you're hitting at a little bit of an angle and that bag doesn't give, you can easily have your wrist one and go like that, and a component of your punch that wants to slide upward. So be aware of, when you're punching the bag, make sure that your wrist is supported, you're throwing straight, and you're landing with your knuckles. So right here, as opposed to your fingers, we want to practice getting those knuckles on the bag as much as we can when we're trying to generate power. Let's talk about punch depth for a minute. In general, when I want to punch with power, I want to punch to the core of the bag or through the plane of the bag, this surface area here. I can be out here and I can just hit shallowly, and there's a place for that in boxing, setting up, measuring. But if I want to generate power, I want to practice punching through that plane. Landing with my knuckles, punching through that plane. Angling. A bag like this affords you an opportunity to work on punching from angles. So at a basic level, what I like to do is get the bag swinging along one axis. It's essentially a pendulum now. If I'm on that same line, then I'm in front of that force that's coming to me. I can imagine that I have an opponent who's stepping towards me. If I want to work at an angle, then I don't want to be on that line. So basically, very basic level, when the bag is moving along an axis, if I step off of that axis and if I can attack from the side a different axis, then I'm at an angle. And so that's one of the things that I work on when I'm working heavy bag, sometimes depending on what the focus is that day. But keep in mind again, once you get that bag swinging, whichever way it's swinging, when it's moving toward me, I'm on its line. I don't have an angle. Right now I've got an angle. Got an angle. It started to move toward me. I got off. Okay, simplify it. It's coming toward me. Oh, I'm offline. I got an angle now. As I hit that bag, it changes and now it starts coming toward me. I need to change it again. So again, basic angle work it's a great tool to start to get comfortable with this concept. Get that bag swinging, step off that line, do some work, get that bag moving again. Once you hit it enough times, it's going to start to swing back towards you. Step off, work that angle again. Here I go, I'm at an angle again. Oh, it's coming toward me. Here I'm at an angle again. It's coming toward me, up, maybe here. Let's talk about punch power. A little bit about inside range versus outside range. If I want to throw, say, a 1-2-3 combination, and I'm throwing a boxing combination, not, say, a kickboxing combination where I'm preserving my kicking range by loosening up and widening that hook. If I'm throwing a textbook or a more traditional 1-2-3 combination, one of the things that I found that helps me, and I kind of wish someone had talked to me about this before, it took me some time to figure this out. When I throw a 1-2, like so, I landed a pretty good number 2, but I've kept myself at straight punch range. I straightened this arm, locked it out, and held myself out. So in order to throw this 3, I've got to throw it a little wide, at least in theory, right? So one of the things that I do when I'm going from throwing outside range punches to inside range punches is I've cultivated the ability to throw a punch, land it, and then allow my shoulder to continue moving forward as I fold my elbow. And that allows me to continue to close that distance so that now I've got that upper arm measurement, which is about my inside punch range. So I'm going to throw my 1-2, 1-2, and allow myself to continue that rotation to load my hook. Check my measurement and throw that 3. In contrast to, and now I've pushed that bag away, I've kept myself outside, and now I've got to reach a little bit with that hook. So that's something for you to play with. Allow yourself to get in close by collapsing the arm after you land the 2. You're still moving forward, collapsing and loading, rotating the shoulder to come back across with that 3. Another real general concept as far as maximizing your power, moving across the midline of the bag when you punch. So looking at it straight on the midline, it's going to be like there. So if I want to generate power, moving myself across that line. It's going to help me generate some power. Staying within my box, staying within the confines of my stance, not leaning out over a foot. but doing that little subtle shifting is going to help you to generate more power. Just generally speaking when hitting the bag. The other thing I do when I'm punching in combination is I allocate one breath with multiple pulses of that breath. So let's say for a 1, 2, 3. It's one breath with 3 pulses. 2 punches. 4. Okay, so you can moderate your breath. It's going to help you be a little bit faster. Instead of going, I can go, or if you want speed. Okay, we don't always want that. We don't always need to do that, but it's a good breathing exercise for you to practice with when hitting the heavy bag or hitting mitts for that matter.